Rubicon's our newest sort of space adventure where the Earth has been intoxicated by this sort of poisonous brown cloud that comes over it, and only the rich are able to survive in their nice little like airtight cubicles, which does pose a little bit of an interesting ethical dilemma for our main characters. So three main characters are up in space and they're on a mission to be able to develop this algae, which is going to be able to help the human race to be able to get more oxygen, because obviously the world is in that real peril in terms of that toxic cloud that is sort of hovering over them, and only the rich are sort of sitting pretty in their nice little safe cubicles. This movie is quite a long movie, like it's an hour and 50 minutes, which is a long time for what they've done. They did have a few really cool things, like the combination of CGI and physical set, like the way they've meshed them together. So it felt like an actual much bigger budget than they were able to portray on film, but it was really nice. All the sets were real good. Like it actually felt like they were properly in space, and I was really impressed by that. But unfortunately, that doesn't help the real slow burn. So the film throughout is this really slow burn to the point where you really kind of bored at a number of scenes. Like the story does have a few twists and turns, but there's nothing to really fully pull you into it. Like I didn't really get that sort of emotional connection to any of the characters. I did like some of the ethical dilemmas, like what they do with the algae and the choices that they make in terms of do they give it to who they give it to or don't they give it to, like that moral dilemma. But I feel like this has been done better before. So there is Passenger. So Passenger does this much better in terms of what human life is actually worth, where I enjoyed Passenger much more than this film. And there's also Stowaway as well, which is a Netflix film, which is virtually around the same sort of premise. But this film just doesn't have that sort of connection or much really going for it. It's more of that ethical dilemma that they need to go through, where if you're looking for a little bit more of that character connection and that sort of emotional bond, I would say Passenger would be the way to go. If you want a little bit more action as well, then Stowe is my choice on that one. Where this one has pretty much none of the other ones. Like I know there are some emotional parts in actual Rubicon, but other than that, like right at the end with that real sort of slow burn and that sudden ending, it just sort of came out of nowhere after you've dragged me along for like almost an hour and a half, and you've just forced this ending on me, which didn't really add up. Like it was just abrupt, and they just sort of threw it. Like I was like, oh, okay, that's where we're ending it. Which they could have probably cut down a number of the scenes and then sort of explored that a little bit more. Like I would have liked some more sort of information in terms of how the rich are sort of living, and they could have had two storylines going on rather than just the one up there, and them dealing with what's going on with the algae and the inner workings of that little space station. But yeah, it's just, some people are going to love it because they're going to love that emotional sort of ethical dilemmas. But other than that, like as a film standpoint, besides the visual sort of spectacle of making the physical sets and the CGI sort of really blend in together, there's nothing really sort of drawing you back to it. Like I haven't thought about this film since I watched it, and that's what I want with one of those sort of ethical dilemmas where I'm actually really thinking about it. Like Ender's Game, that really sort of stuck with me, and that's that same kind of emotional dilemma. Not in the exact same, but it still has that sort of emotional drive and that ethical dilemma, which then needs to stick with you. So I can't really recommend this film. It's a 2 out of 5 for me, and that's only generously due to the sets and the CGI. So yeah, let me know what you think about it, and yeah, put it down below. And make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and tell your friends.